Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
How you guys doing? We are here with our Stranger Things podcast. Today we are talking about season 4, episode 6, chapter 6, The Dive. And we are getting really into the thick of things here with this Stranger Things episode as we start what I would call entering into the final segment of this season, where this kind of felt to me like the final setup for how the rest of this is going to roll. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, how this episode ends with Steve is, it's just, you know that things are only going to go, well, I guess things could get bad. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Is like things are not looking good for Steve. Poor Steve always ends up getting beat up every season, and we see it here. He is being viciously attacked. It does not look good, and but you're just kind of left wondering, how are we possibly gonna get him out of this? But
so
it's not only Steve that's gone down. Now we see also Nancy and Robin and Eddie. They're all going after him. So
not only are they all going after him, but we get 11 feeling like she's learned some things now in her new training. We get the California boys finally getting some real information. We get Hopper's like recognition of what's going on there. It's all seeming to kind of come to a head as they are all figuring this out. And so with 3 episodes after this one, this kind of felt like not the calm before the storm, but like the rain is starting to fall before the thunder starts. Whoa. Right? We're starting to get into the storm a little bit here.
Yeah, things are getting crazy. Like you just kind of wonder, without this being like the first time through watching this, it's like, how are we possibly going to fix this, right? Like, everything is just chaos at this point, even though, sure, Hopper has a plan, and sure, Joyce and Murray have a plan, and all right, I guess Nancy has a plan going after Steve, but, like, none of it seems good, right? Like, it all seems like things are falling apart, even for 11, so it's pretty rough.
I'll say this. I remember watching this episode the first time and feeling like it was awesome. Like, it was such a cool way to end it and everything. And after watching it a second time, I'm not going to say that it is less awesome, but it's clearly more of a setup than it is like the heightened moments, because I now have the luxury of knowing what happens afterwards. So, I really like the scene on the boat in the water at the end is so cool. Yeah. And I remember thinking that this was a peak moment. And when you then watch the remainder of season 4, it gets like dwarfed by all the things that happened in this season. But it was still a very memorable moment. And when they pushed off and started paddling out, I was like, yes, this is it. Here we go.
Yes, this was the moment. I know, exactly. Yeah, this is a really cool episode for sure. But just as a reminder of where we left off last week with Stranger Things, we had Owens taking 11 to the underground silo in Nevada, where Papa was waiting to begin her training once again. We also saw Joyce and Murray attacking Yuri during their flight to Russia, resulting in a crash landing. Then we had Mike discovering that number inside the dead agent's pen, which is supposed to help them locate 11. And meanwhile, the Hawkins group was investigating the old Creel house, and Vecna also killed Patrick right in front of Jason and Eddie. And Eric, just like we talked about, that only made Jason's fight to find Eddie and take him down worse. I mean, this was like, even though it happened in front of both of them, and Eddie was clearly just as freaked out as Jason, Jason just blamed Eddie. And I wasn't fully clear on how Eddie and Jason separated. Like, I kind of wish that they showed how that went down
They
on the
never
water.
showed that. And
like,
so
Yeah.
here's my assumption on that, because you're right. They never showed that. And you would think that if Jason just saw that happen, and Eddie is right there, and he is of this belief that he would try to do something about it.
Yeah.
But my guess is Jason, instead of going after Eddie, wanted to make sure Patrick got back to shore.
Yes.
And so brought his body back to the shore instead of just leaving his body in the water. And
I had the same thought.
That's
He
the
must
only thought process I've
been,
got on that.
Like, in shock, and just like, I just need to bring my friend's body back to shore, and just kind of went tunnel vision and then just lost sight of Eddie is kind of what I imagined. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we're gonna find out where Jason's thought process is here in a second, but we're gonna actually, the opening scene is with Jason and the police, but we're gonna skip that so we can put all that together at the end of this episode. We're gonna start with the next scene, which is our California boys, who I suppose I should really refer to as the Utah boys at this point, since they're no longer in California.
Yes.
But
plus Suzie.
Plus Suzie. But we do run into the agent who is being now tortured and strapped to a chair, the one who was left behind at the house. And they are trying to pump him for information that he continues to say he doesn't know. They're asking him where the girl is. And I do have to say, I am sympathetic a little bit for the guy doing the torturing, for the general. Because he says this, and he's like, listen, which of these things sounds more reliable, right? Is there really an invisible boogeyman from another dimension killing these kids? Or is Dr. Owen's experiment on the loose? And it's like, you know what? I understand that. Like, who's gonna buy into what's actually happening in this story? It doesn't make any sense. Which is why when we find out about Jason later, no one's buying into the other kids. They're all believing Jason, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how it's so far-fetched to believe that this is the thing that's happening, but we have the background of knowing that this is not the first time this has happened. This has happened many times in this town, but nobody knows about it because they keep covering the whole thing up because it's so hard to believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when he says he doesn't know, like he doesn't know where the girl is, they just shove him in this locker box situation, and I don't want to know what's going on in that locker box.
No, it's like, I'm glad that they just moved right past that scene, and this is a scary show, but it's not that type of scary show. Like, this is not gore outright. I mean, there's some gruesome scenes, especially I would argue like next season we got even a little bit more of that, but I don't know. I think as we go here, it gets pretty rough in season 4. Yeah.
All these deaths.
Yeah. I mean,
all these deaths like from the sky.
Them popping. All the twisted. But I guess as far as torture goes, I think that's kind of on another level. I know that's one thing with movies that, I can't, like, I cannot handle watching it. Like any type of physical torture to someone. I know it's fake. I know it's a movie, but it just grosses me out. It's too much. That's
why I had a hard time playing GTA 5. There are some scenes in that you've got to do some crazy things. God. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's cool.
We move. Yeah. And so he's now shoved in this locker situation that he clearly doesn't want to be a part of. And we move on. And the next time we see these boys in California, the actual boys that we're tracking here, they are arriving at Suzie's. And my question to you is, what sort of chaos is this?
I don't know. I was actually relieved when the dad came out, although I don't really know what his role is in this family. I'm like, okay, so there is an adult here. But
not supervisor.
I has no idea what's going on. I don't know. Like, is he running like an orphanage? Are these all his children? There were a
I don't
lot
know.
of question marks here. I wasn't clear if like these were all Susie's relatives even, or if these were all just kids hanging out. Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. Was this a commune? Like,
this is one of these like scenes that you feel like, what was it? There was an Eddie Murphy movie, I think. It was Daddy Daycare that was like this. Mrs. Doubtfire, when they throw the party, is kind of like this. It's just like kids everywhere doing whatever. And it's chaos. Now, I will say, the theme to all of them is that they are all expressing their artistic sides, whatever that happens to be.
Right. That is very cool.
But like the idea that it's just this level of chaos all over the place, no. No, thank you.
Okay, so I did just look this up just now, did a little Google, and apparently this is in, being in Utah, there is a large Mormon population there. And apparently Suzie is Mormon. Like, these are all of her siblings. This is massive Mormon family.
That's not shocking to me. Like the idea that like we know that she's very religious and she's dating an agnostic, as she references later with Dustin, is such a horrible thing.
I didn't hear the Mormon reference specifically, though. Did they say that?
I don't know that they never mentioned that she's Mormon per
maybe
se.
The Utah implication was there.
I think that would be the implication.
Gotcha. And then the massive family all makes sense.
But like, massive family is one thing. That's never been a concern for me. It is the absolutely no rules, no holds barred situation here. I don't know where the mom is. The dad is absolutely not worried about anything. He just locks himself in his own room and calls it a day. And it's like, nah, I can't. I would never be able to survive in that sort of situation.
And I also just I don't know why, but her calling him father, I'm like, okay, this is just weird.
Well, to each their own. To each their own. So we arrive at Susie's, right? And there's just chaos. You get greeted by some kid shooting a bow and arrow right in Mike's face.
That's right.
And as they enter in, they're kind of going room to room. So you're seeing like all the crazy that's going on between the people that are in the kitchen doing something. And I don't even remember what they were doing. But then there's this film situation where there's this girl like faking a death. And this other kid is just filming the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And,
can't you see what we're doing?
Yes. No, just
get out of the shot.
We move on and we run into what appears to be the eldest child in the place, which is this girl named Eden, who Argyle immediately falls in love with.
Yes.
And the two of them hit it off real quickly. But meanwhile, Jonathan, Mike, and Will are all still trying to figure out where Suzie is in this chaos. And Eden kind of points them in the right direction. They get out there and they find her on the roof with the antenna, trying to figure out like how to like fix her radio. And they explain they're Dustin's friend. And she just gives them this look like, okay, what is going on now?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and Eric, I did see just a quick note on Eden. I guess because this stuck out to me. I'm like, she looks just like
the girl from Breakfast Club.
Yes, and that was like totally intentional. Like, she was styled to look just like Allison Reynolds on the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
And also, do you remember Uncle Buck? There was the young girl on that show too. Tia
That's true.
Russell.
I didn't think about that. I thought of the Breakfast Club immediately.
They had the same like dark shaggy hair and just like she just had that look about her. But yeah, the most absolutely.
Not just
biggest
look.
reference was the Breakfast Club.
Not just look, but personality too. Like
Absolutely, yes.
like absolutely spot on. So then we're cutting scenes here. We get back, and the boys are trying to explain to Suzie why she needs to check out this Nina project, and they're giving her false information. They're trying to sell it as, if you go to this code situation, if you're able to tap into this, then there's information that we can get, and we can get the first new game system, the
like American
Nintendo. Which, it's not unreasonable that a company would put out things like this, clues that you have to find, and you can unlock something for some sort of benefit when the new game or system comes out. I get that. But this is like beyond that. This is, as Suzie is saying, to acquire the new game system that no one has heard about. But it's there.
It's for Dustin, too.
And then it's for Dustin. So it becomes a little bit more reasonable.
For her dusty buns.
But Suzie has to tell them then the story about her computer being confiscated by her father when all of this learning about her changing Dustin's grade has come out.
She felt so guilty. She said she was racked with guilt. I'm like, okay, now like all the religious stuff really it comes into play here. This is making more sense, right?
It all comes together. And then, of course, despite being racked with all this guilt, Suzie then says, well, unless, and they're like, unless what? Like, we'll make unless happen. So, despite being so guilty, despite losing all these things, she's immediately got a game plan for how to get back into this thing.
Yeah.
So,
there's a way to do it, but they're going to need a lot of help for sure.
And essentially, a lot of help is a Home Alone style chaos throughout the house, getting Cornelius involved, shutting the power off, getting a whole fun house of chaos while Suzie jumps into father's office and uses the computer, which I will say I did find it funny that she's talking about IP addresses and, data mining. And Jonathan's like, what's the internet?
Yes, I'll just tap into the internet. What is that? Don't worry about it. It's just going to change the world.
Yeah, and it does.
Just a little bit. Oh my goodness.
Very funny to kind of see that scene. I was waiting for one of them to do like the look into the camera, like break the fourth wall for a moment.
God.
They didn't.
Too much. Yeah, no.
But that was basically what they were trying to do anyway.
Yeah,
and then of course they do all this
like on fire too.
They just ruin the whole house. It's chaos. But they do all this, and my favorite thing is, what was it? Mike says to Suzie, like, "Oh, can we like get a copy of this? Can you print it?" She's like, "No, I can do all this data mining and all this, but that's where my abilities stop." And then she pushes the button for print.
Wow.
She's like, come on.
Child's play.
What are you talking about here? So they print the stuff. The boys get the stuff. And they run past the father as he's making his way back to the office as they head outside, only to find Argyle and Eden in the van, totally
my.
High.
Yeah, there was just billowing, like smoke just billowing out of this van. She's like, what is that? It sounds like, or it smells like a skunk has like wandered onto the property.
Yeah.
She looks over and there's just like a massive amount of smoke. And then they open up the van to see Argyle and Eden making out. And that was pretty funny. But Eric, so what exactly is on this paper that got printed? Just Elle's location? Is that?
They were trying to, so ultimately they were looking for an address. Right. And I think they got an address through all of this.
Okay.
Or what they got was, they didn't get an address like 17 Main Street.
Right.
They got
like the coordinates or something.
They got the longitude and latitude coordinates.
Okay.
So my guess is those coordinates lead to like that door.
Where that staircase or where the door was,
the elevator door.
shaft down to the silos. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So
they mentioned like geo mapping, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, they were going through all sorts of stuff, heavy tech stuff going on here, but they did get coordinates when it was all said and done, and now they're going to have to translate that into how to get there. But they've at least got something, and they're going to go. If I assume they're on the path now to get there, and they find out it's in Nevada, which is very Area 51 of the whole thing.
Yes.
But then they are able to hopefully find this door. Now, what they do when they get to the door, that's a great question.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just going to knock on it and get in.
Yeah, I don't think so. So yeah, we'll have to figure.
So we'll see what shakes out, but they do at least know coordinates to some place. I'm assuming it's the door.
I'm assuming it was too. That's why I wasn't.
I don't really remember, but that's what I believe.
I don't either, and I'm thinking, how did they even get out there? Yeah, we will see. I'm excited to get to that point for sure, and it's got to be coming up soon because we only have a few episodes left for this season.
We got 3 more to go, so and they got to get back to Hawkins somehow.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, with 3 episodes left, we still got Hopper in Russia.
Well, yeah, because then we are with Joyce and Murray in the snow. We see Joyce kind of sitting by a fire and by herself, and they have Yuri tied up. And Murray, I guess, had been gone for a long time because Joyce says something along the lines of like, oh, I thought I might have lost you. Like, I guess he was gone for over an hour. Trying to, I think, just make sense of where they are and figure out what they're possibly going to do next. So
the first thing you would do, I would imagine, is look for like a town or something to go to. But the answer is they don't know where they're going.
Which direction do you even head? Right. So Murray is kind of pretending to bargain with Yuri, but also mocking him in Russian. And they're all basically they're saying that they're going to just leave him there. Because he has no leverage. Like he's trying to bargain with them, but Yuri has 0 leverage here. He's tied up. Really.
The idea that Yuri thought that he had negotiated for $25,000 of the 40,000. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like because I'm sitting here as they're doing this going, Murray, what are you saying? Like the leverage is this guy gets left on a pole to die and you walk away or you take him with you. That's the leverage.
Well, I was going to say, I guess the one piece of leverage he does have is because he ended up calling after them and reminding them that he has a warehouse where they can get supplies. And that warehouse ends up being that church that we're going to get to soon. But yeah, so they end up taking them with him, but they keep him tied up. So he's their prisoner. And they are wanting to, their goal, according to Yuri, is to reach the prison by nightfall. So, I'm kind of questioning, I don't know, would you believe him in this scenario? It would be a little bit tricky. So I guess they did the right thing with bringing him, but keeping him tied up, I
don't think you have any other option.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea where to go.
Idea. Right.
No idea. Like he knows where the stuff is.
Yeah.
He would probably want to get to this stuff as well. So, like, what's the harm here?
Right.
And then, but then we move to
Hopper
the prison doors
in prison
being opened up, where Hopper and Enzo and a few others are being taken out to this main area, but then led down this extension hallway to this huge feast of food.
Yeah, this is like,
and I was like, oh, this is not good.
Not good, right?
Not good.
Like, I see this immediately and I'm thinking, well, if that's the Last Supper, and everyone's like, oh, great, they're treating us. Like, really, guys?
Like, no, they're not. And Hopper does not even eat one bite of it. He's like, no, thanks, I'm good.
Well, I was also thinking like, oh, maybe all this food was just straight up poisoned. And then they were going to feed them. But then obviously they don't want to do that because they don't want to poison poor Mr. Demogorgon. So yeah, Hopper is just going straight
well,
to
they
the
didn't
booze.
know that at the
No.
they didn't know it was a Demogorgon yet.
But I love
But
this.
they find out pretty quick.
Yes, this moment where Hopper is just like starts drinking immediately and then just falls over because he probably hasn't had any real nutrition in quite a long time and is just exhausted and also hasn't had a drink in a while, and yeah, he just kind of keels over, but then he gets back up and is reminding everyone of really or not reminding, but just informing everyone of what the motivations of these guards really are, because there's a big fight ahead of them. Well, and they think that they are, giving them this food so that they can have some type of chance against, whatever beast they have behind this door. And one of the guys is saying that they saw 6 men just like them coming out all greasy faced, and then they were thrown out into the field to fight them, and within 30 seconds they were all dead. And so they want them strong in order to test, this monster's strength. But Hopper is like, listen, guys, I've seen this monster. And he starts describing it. And then Enzo is like translating everything that he's saying to the rest of the prisoners. And
yeah. And this one guy, one of the prisoners has seen this.
Right.
So he's the only one who has a physical description.
Uh-huh. And he's like,
and Hopper
how do you
nails
know this?
it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, your theory is wrong about what's happening here. The predator needs the thrill of the hunt, and we're just there to entertain it and give it nutrients. So the food is to really make us plump so that the monster will stay alive for them. So eat up, boys. This is your last meal. And everyone's like,
it was a really good monologue from Hopper.
Yes.
That's 2 straight episodes with real good Hopper moments.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this storyline is a fraction of the episode, but
yes.
Hopper delivers 2 in a row.
Absolutely. And I love then where that scene goes with him. But first, we have another quick scene where Yuri has led Joyce and Murray to that church where Hopper was. And Yuri's upset that someone was in his peanut butter. And
we know it was Hopper.
Yes, and we know it was Hopper.
We know it was Hopper. They don't know it was Hopper, but
No.
that's the funniest thing.
I know. And he shows them where the guns are, and they also find the map. And Yuri is kind of showing them where the prison is on the map, but they're like, well, where is it? It's not on the map. He's like, oh yeah, no, it's not going to be on the map.
They're not going to put it on the map.
Yeah.
But by the way, here's my thoughts. There's a crate full of weapons.
Right.
How does Hopper not get this intel?
I know. That's a great point.
Imagine if he had all this firearms. These guards roll in and he just wipes them all out with machine guns. Like, how did he not get this info?
I know. That's a great point. He could have just been waiting inside and just picked
I don't know that he might
in.
have just been killed also in the firefight, but
I know.
he could have attempted to survive this.
Yeah.
Now, when it's all said and done, Yuri was going to double cross him anyway.
Yeah,
so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's probably better that he didn't know, because I think he definitely would have died if he had taken that approach.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that's why they didn't go that route. But yeah, you think they would have given him all the information. But
you would think
that's not the type of escape that was. So yeah, he's showing them the map, and he's saying, yeah, you're trying to break into the deadliest prison of all Motherland. This is suicide. So they're saying, Murray and Joyce, though, hatched this plan where, hey, guess what? Yuri, I'm Yuri now, is what Murray is saying. And they stuff something in Yuri's mouth because he is going to be Murray. So basically Murray is going to pretend to be bringing in the 2 Americans, who is Joyce and Yuri. And
now Yuri.
And yes, exactly. And he's like, it's a silent roll. and stuffs the
Well, it's not a bad idea because he's like, you're not just gonna walk up to the door and be let in. And Joyce is like, yeah, I think we are, because you're supposed to be bringing 2 Americans to the gate today, and you're gonna, except you're not you. You're Murray, and he's you now.
And I do remember that a bit, how that goes down. It's a great scene. But then back at the prison, I love this moment. We have Hop and the prisoners being marched back out into the field where those double door steel doors are that we know the Demogorgon is behind. And Enzo is out there. He's like trying to basically rally everyone's encouragement, saying that, I believe that we can all win. And Murray's just, and Hopper decides to take a whole other route because he knows the only thing that can defeat the Demogorgon is fire. And so Hopper starts a fight with Enzo, and the guards end up getting involved, and he ends up attacking one of the guards, knocking them out, getting knocked out himself, and being dragged into one of the cells with Enzo. And during all of this commotion, he was able to steal one of the guards' lighters. So he has the booze that he also confiscated and the lighter, and he's like, this is our best fighting chance against this thing, because he's planning on basically making a little flamethrower somehow. So it's that'll be interesting to see. So they're just laughing.
That will be fun. That will be fun to see, but it is noteworthy that Hopper, as soon as he recognized it was a Demogorgon, was able to acquire vodka and a lighter so that he had at least some sort of fighting chance against this thing.
That's not going to go well. But the second to last portion of this episode that we wanted to talk about is with Elle and Papa, because we see 11 with Papa, and he's describing what happened to her is similar kind of, and I like this description. It's kind of similar to what happens when someone has a stroke, right? Like your signals get crossed and you lose some of your functions. A lot of people, if you have a stroke, you might lose the ability to speak. And so he's kind of describing what's happened to Eleven's powers as her signals have gotten scrambled, and she just needs to remember how to unscramble them. And that, is very similar in that way. A lot of times people who have a stroke, depending on how severe it is, sometimes you can't get all of your functions back, but sometimes you can, and sometimes you are able to work through that.
And he's just referring to it as also like you've been through a lot of traumatic experiences, and sometimes your brain is trying to protect you from that trauma by helping you forget. Now, again, I do think there is some realistic, tendencies to this, where I think there are people who have been through traumatic experiences and then try their best to forget them as much as possible, and their brain does help kind of like hide these things away, where there are other people who cannot stop reliving them because they keep seeing that over and over and over again. And so these are, everybody's different. Everybody's brain makeup and chemistry is different. And this is just kind of how things go. Yeah. So his philosophy is that if you can re-show these experiences and relive these experiences, you will then kind of come out of this, and therefore you will have all of your, capacity back.
Sometimes we even remember things, that never actually happened. So I guess it's not even remembering it. Your brain just fabricates things that either someone wishes something happened a certain way, or a story has been told to you so many times about a specific thing that you feel like you're remembering it. But it's like, is that a memory, or is that just something that you've heard?
Well, this is how everybody has this, like, the Mandela effect. Is that right? Am I getting that phrasing right? Where people all think they remember the exact same thing that happened, but it never really happened. Like quotes from movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like Luke, I am your father. Everybody knows, but nobody actually said that in the movie.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Darth Vader?
Yeah.
He says, Luke, I am your
Did not.
What?
No.
Is this like the E.T. phone home thing that I was talking about?
Yeah.
Where he actually says...
He says home phone
he says
instead of phone home.
Home phone. He doesn't say... what?
I'm going to... No, he says... oh, gosh. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to say it wrong because the Star Wars people will come at me.
He says, no,
so
I am your father.
Right, yes. There you go. Thank you.
Oh, my God. I'm learning this live, guys. I am today years old. What?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there are phrases like that everybody, your brain apparently has told you that it's Luke, I am your father, because it's been put in pop culture over and over and over again that way. And it was never that way.
See, guys, this is happening real time. Wow.
There you go.
I mean, for what it's worth, his voice was a little bit muffled. Okay. No, I am your father.
Okay. Settle down.
I could kind
settle
of hear
down.
It. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, so I mean, this is kind of, it makes sense that because Elle was a child too, and all of this crazy stuff went down. I mean, from birth, she was thrown into this this very I would say unconventional way of growing up, to say the least.
I would agree that this is unconventional.
And is torn away from her mother, while her mother is really torn away from her, which ends up being this core memory that she draws a lot of her strength from. But yeah, the fact that her brain is protecting her from trauma, and she is talking to Papa about the blood that she remembers seeing on her hands, and he's kind of saying, yeah, that is a memory, a very powerful one, and it's invading your subconscious, but let's proceed with caution, because like getting too much into those demons from your past, if we work too fast, you could become lost in the darkness. So Eric, actually, back to your Star Wars reference here, again, this is very much like being pulled to the dark side or the light side here, right? Because I feel like I've made reference to that before with Eleven's story in particular, because it's like she could either go one way or the other, and that's where we do learn, spoiler alert here but I mean, just a minor, but I don't know if I want, but either way, like we do learn that the choice has been offered for other people in this storyline, and 11 has chosen the light side, but that has not always been the case. And that's right. So if she's lost, everyone will be lost. No pressure, but that's what Papa is telling her. So it's like he clearly is putting all of his faith on 11 as well, similar to what Dr. Owen said to her, which is why she left, to go with him to start her training again.
They say what you want about Papa, but in hearing that,
yeah,
he and Dr. Owens are on the same page, and they both believe that 11 is the key to saving the world. And Papa's methods are not good, but if Papa's methods deliver a character that can save the world, well, I think he's going to feel like he did the right thing. And so say what you want about that, but that is what it is.
Yeah.
And we also have this where she's being lowered into the tub, and she's got the, headpiece on, and I just always, whenever I see her laying in like the bath water situation, it reminds me of Minority Report.
Oh yeah, that was a great movie.
Where again, it's like there's these two, they're twins, and they're laying in the water, and their visions are, helping to save the world theoretically. We learn that's not quite the case in that movie. But 11 is the same idea. Like she's going in, laying in this thing and getting getting these visions to help her remember her way. There is something to that. And I don't know enough about science to tell you if that's a realistic thing, but they've clearly laid out this this concept, in a few different ways. And we have the science teacher explaining how to make sensory deprivation tanks. So who knows? I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
I mean,
but I do know Plinko because I saw The Price is Right. And that's where Eleven is sitting right now in front of a Plinko board, trying to manipulate the chips to fall in a certain spot.
Henry is there.
It's not working out well. So Henry's there and he's talking to 11 and he's saying, listen, sometimes it's best to just take a break and then come back. And she just keeps on putting chips up and they're not falling in the right way. And he's like, whoa, so you're very determined, are we? Okay. And then he decides he's going to tell a story. And then he takes one of the Plinko chips and moves it to the 1 column to tell a story about 1. And she's very confused by this because she felt like 1
Papa
was
said
gone.
he doesn't exist.
And
right.
And he says, well, Papa doesn't tell the truth all the time. He doesn't always tell the truth. And so you get this story of 1. And then we're seeing the story of him explaining the mother being taken away from 11. And he's then being told, remember when that woman came in and tried to come to you and it was very weird? And she's like, yeah. He's like, well, that was your mother. And she's responding, well, I don't have a mother. Papa said that my mother was dead. And then she's like, but Papa doesn't always tell the truth. So now we're starting to learn that she's learning at this point in time in her memories that Papa is not always truthful. And she's learning this from this orderly, which we're going to call Henry. And this is kind of like the start of her, I would say, maybe pulling a little bit away from Papa and having another trustworthy source in the Rainbow Room. Someone else that is providing an alternate opinion that is maybe realistic, but maybe not. And we go from there.
Because this must have been the moment that she started to, as a young child, understand more of her own story. So that's where this memory was bringing her back to, is where Henry was trying to give her more power, because we learn he really wants her help too. But he's explaining.
Now, did you see what the rainbow looked like in the background?
I did not.
It was upside down.
Oh my God. I messed up. I did not look at the rainbow. It was upside down when Henry was talking to her. Yeah.
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 Yes. So, and then she because then Papa comes in and lines all the kids up, and she walks across the room to the other side, and Papa does not acknowledge that Henry's even in the room.
Well,
now he does later.
Are you saying that it's because he doesn't see him? Oh, okay.
I don't know
I guess
I'm not. I'm suggesting that it might be the case.
Okay, sure. And so, well, one of my main takeaways from that exchange with her and Henry, though, also is that Henry is telling her, listen, everything changed for that little boy, because something made him sad, but also angry. And he wanted her to harness all of that emotion. And that's why he was, telling her that story about her mother again, and that Papa's been lying to her. He's trying to really draw out, this is the truth of what's going on here. And yeah, we see also Dr. Owens saying to Papa that he should have told her the truth, because then we're like brought back out into the reality of the situation where they're just watching Eleven's vitals, and not really sure what that means at this point. He should have told her the truth. And he's like, she wasn't ready. Which part of the truth, I guess?
I think, so to me, the truth
about Henry
could be about Henry. It could be about what she did.
Or didn't do.
Or didn't do. Or what Papa did or didn't do. Like, so there's a number of these things that are implied. And being that we've seen forward, there are a lot of implications that this could be. At this point in time, it's this vague reference to, oh, she's going to learn something big and she hasn't figured it out yet. Should we have told her this? And Papa's like, no, she's going to figure it out. And
it probably would have been helpful for him to tell her about Henry. Like, I feel like that would have saved time, but maybe he felt like she had to see it to believe it. But experience it.
I think she's got to relive. Yes, she's got to relive the memories. If you just get told it, it doesn't have the same impact.
Because then we're back, when we go back to Eleven's memory, where Papa is having them play that game with the circles, where one of both of the kids are blindfolded and they're having to push each other out of the circles with their powers. But 2 is just kicking everyone's butt in this game. Number 2 is just pushing everyone else out and throwing them against the wall, really without any issue, until, of course, 11, who is last. And Henry is putting the blindfold on 11 and really saying, I think, like, good luck to her. And Papa kind of gives a little, like, over the shoulder, like, when you're at the movie theater and you kind of turn your head a little bit, but you don't look at the person behind you because they're making a lot of noise. That's what Papa does. He says it to 11, and then Henry walks back and takes his place behind Papa, and he kind of looks like, I'm just gonna let this slide for now, because he didn't say anything to anybody else. We didn't see any of it.
But then you see 11 in her mind remembering what Henry had said, which is, do you have a memory like that makes you sad and angry? And this is then going back to the mom being taken away. And now that she knows that was Mom, this does make her sad and angry.
And what was interesting, too, is when Papa was telling them how to play the game, he said, don't let anger or emotion invade your thoughts or you will fail. And meanwhile, Henry's over there being like, yeah, you got to tap into your, like, worst memory ever. And that's how you harness your emotions. Or that's how you harness your energy. So it's like he found, I think, this one way to harness your energy, but Papa, I think, wanted them to harness it a different way, which maybe speaks to what ended up going down at the lab, because, as he was saying earlier, if we move too fast, if we cut corners, I'm afraid that's where you could get pulled into the darkness. And that's what Henry was having her do. She didn't know. She was just this little kid. But that's what was happening here. And that's why things spiraled out of control is really what we're learning in this scene.
But we also have 11 win this matchup against 2, because she's able to harness these thoughts, and Papa announces her as the winner. And then we come back to a scene where, because she won, she's earned extra time in the Rainbow Room. So she's in the Rainbow Room hanging out, and she hears these noises and follows it and sees Papa overwatching these men tasing
like
Henry.
brutally.
So he knows that Henry has done things
Yes.
incorrectly, and therefore he is being punished for interfering in this experiment of sorts.
So I think that Papa could see him in that other room, just going back to what we were talking about earlier. I just think he just doesn't really acknowledge his presence ever. I think that he just he was allowing him to be there,
because
that was just...
The tasing happened on the, correct side of the rainbow, and I don't know if he was if he can or can't when he's on the other side. I don't know. I don't have any evidence to that yet. I'm tracking it, though.
Interesting.
Been watching it.
But then we learn more about what Eleven's experience with these other kids has been, too. Like, she is not treated kindly. So 2 did not like the fact that 11 was able to defeat him whatsoever, rallies a few of his friends, and they all surround 11, calling her weak and pathetic. 2 is saying that he was just holding back and just knocks her down right away. And they all start pushing her around with their powers. I'm like, this is kind of, outside of without the context, it's kind of funny because they're all just like using this is like a very Harry Potter bullying moment where no one is, actually shoving. They're just like using forces that you can't see to push her around this circle, and it's like, wow.
It's
okay.
I'm sure they did something like this, but the way that 11 was moving around this felt like they all had a bungee cord, and they were just like yank, and she was just being pulled wherever she felt like go. It was very it was definitely an odd moment.
Supernatural bullying. That's what was happening.
Yeah.
Supernatural bullying, but also then
when it's all done though, 2 says, if you tell Papa, we will kill you. And that to me was the big moment of this whole thing, because despite the supernatural bullying moment, he lays it down like, if you say anything, we will kill you. So now her life is in danger.
Holy hell, like things escalated really fast here. Like, oh my God.
Well, and she's been bullied throughout this. I always felt like that was consistently recognized, because even in some of the other challenges, all the kids are snickering and laughing behind her, thinking she's the weakest one. She can't do any of this stuff. Why is Papa wasting time with her? And here she is, getting bullied again. And when she's done with this, she sees her bloodied self in the mirror with all this blood all over her and all this, strewn bodies around the room. And then you get the, what have you done?
Yes.
And then she's like pulled out of the tank because her vitals are going crazy.
And the first time watching this, it's like, whoa, did she just at first I was thinking when they were just like throwing her around, did she get a lot more bloodied up in that moment than we realized, like in reality? And then you think, oh no, she's now jumped into another memory, but it's also then implying on the first watch that, she definitely just went ballistic on these kids and killed everyone, which is, I think, where her memory has always left her, is she's always felt so guilty about murdering everyone, and as a viewer, first time watch her, that's what you think happened,
Well, and we've seen this scene a few times, and this has been the implication all the way through, that what has she done?
That's even
here?
what is said.
Early on, it's been like, man, why would she do that? And now it's, we have a reason for why she would do something like that. And so she's coming out of the tank going, I know, I killed all those people. And that's kind of where we leave off with 11.
Because that kind of ties back to the scene with Angela. Also, Eric, when I was doing the edit for our last episode, I misspoke and I called Angela Chrissy. So I apologize, Chrissy. You are not the one that bullied 11. I mixed your character names up. Either way.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. I would have said something.
I know. I was like, oh my God. Oh, it was not you, Chrissy. But either way, this reminds me of, though, I feel like they're kind of tying it together because it was right after she was horribly bullied by Angela that she justifiably took a roller skate after she tried to make amends with her and tried to get her to, just apologize and make things right. She's like, you know what? This is it. And just hit her with the roller skate. And I feel like 11's probably remembering what she did there too and thinking, oh my God, this is a pattern I have, and I took all these kids out.
And we've seen... But we've seen 11 have rage-like moments over her past. So this is not shocking that this would be a thing that would have happened. Especially as she's learning about her powers and does not have full control over them, which now she doesn't have any. But you would say that maybe in the last couple seasons she was understanding them to a much better degree and how to deploy or not deploy them, since we've seen her like lift and flip cars around and also like explode a soda in somebody's hand without hurting them.
I wish that, like, looking at this from a rewatch and watching, these bits with 11 and who we know is Henry, but again, we're in episode 6 of season 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a series, this is all kind of, we're having to almost
as a series
not wrap up, but you're trying to understand all these parts of the story more and more because we're getting kind of close to the end,
Well, there's only 12 episodes left.
Right.
No, so 11.
Oh, hey.
Hey, yo.
So what I'm trying to say is I almost wish that we had more time with the Henry storyline because we don't even have a name for him yet. We just know who he is because it's a rewatch. And I feel like there is so much there. And I kind of wish that we had more time with understanding Henry more, he got
I think we get a little bit more of that as we go this season.
We do. And maybe I'll think about that some more when we we finish up the season, but I know where things go in season 5. I love the season, the last season very much, and we do get more of it there. But I have heard that in the Broadway play for Stranger Things, they get a lot more into his background. And I kind of wish that that had been incorporated into the show more too, because I've heard that it's almost like this supplemental experience that really adds a lot more depth. And I read up on that. And so I learned more about that storyline, but yeah, without that, you don't necessarily know some of those things.
I think we get enough through the show to know what we need to know throughout the whole thing. I think those supplemental storylines are always going to add depth and connection, and it's good that they're there. I don't know that I necessarily needed it, but I think I want to see how the rest of season 4 plays out, because don't forget, we're seeing bits and pieces of this scattered all throughout season 4.
Yeah. And
with different storylines we're connecting to Henry.
Yeah, and I guess I can see where the writers were probably like, well, it still needs to be about the core group of kids. And so if they start going off the rails and just have an episode devoted to Henry, well, that didn't go so well when they did that with 11 going off on her own. So, yeah.
No, and I think you're getting I would say we have almost, when it's all said and done, I think we got plenty of time connecting to Henry's past. But you know what? Let's save that for the end of season 4 and see how we feel about it then.
Yeah, so let's talk now about this opening scene of the episode.
Yeah, because this storyline here, is the biggest part. We've been going for I mean, my recording says we've been going for about an hour at this point. I don't know what it'll look like after the edit, but this is the biggest chunk of the episode too that we're about to get into. So, go for it. We've got the cops.
The cops arriving where Patrick was killed. So they're right at the lake there asking that one bully with the hat. I don't think we have his name still, but he's just asking, where is he? And they see Patrick's mangled body in Jason's arms. And then they just start asking, well, where was Eddie when that happened? And he's saying he was in the boat. And they're asking, well, who lifted Patrick out of the water? And Jason is saying that Eddie, so now they're kind of back at the station at this point.
I think they're just in Reefer Rick's cabin, to be honest with you.
Oh, they might have just gone in the cabin.
I think they just went into the house that's right there.
And so Jason is saying, Eddie is the vessel for Satan. He made a pact with the devil, and now he has his powers. And the cops are kind of looking at each other like, okay. And they're telling Jason, listen, we're just processing everything that you're saying. And Jason's like, because he can read their expressions. And he's like, listen, guys, how do you expect to stop the devil if you don't believe he's real?
Great line. It is a great line from Jason. And this is where I don't feel sympathetic for Jason, but I understand Jason the same way that I understand the torturer at the very beginning with the agent, where it's like Jason is full belief that Eddie didn't physically do this. He saw it. He knows that he didn't do it. But somehow Eddie is connected to the devil, and the devil is doing these things. And so Eddie's not doing them himself, but he's made a deal so that this is what's happening. And I mean, what else is Jason supposed to believe? I don't know what he's supposed to believe.
Jason's reaction here reminds me of, I think he'll make the perfect small town cop who he gets his, it doesn't even have to be small town. Plenty of police officers do this, where you will get your mindset on what happened, and then you will connect all the dots to lead you to that scenario. So instead of looking at the actual evidence that's right in front of your eyeballs, you are deciding to put everything through the lens that you've already decided it's going to be. So I'm like, you know what, Jason?
I think there are probably there are probably a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people that do that, especially in today's political culture. There are so many people that have a result that they want, and then they paint the picture to get to the result.
I'm just talking about from a detective standpoint, because he is now trying to solve this mystery, and he is now also going to inject himself into the middle of everything, which he already has, but we will get to that scene. But at the end here, the camera is also, Eric, panning under the water in this lake, and we see just this giant fish getting snatched up by something mysterious, and it's like, oh, okay, so there's something down there.
Something's in the lake. This is a problem. I don't think this lake houses octopuses, but there was a long tentacle that snatched this fish out of nowhere. Yeah. So that's not great. But we do get a very short scene where Eddie is stealing a radio from a construction worker. So now Eddie, who had left his radio behind, now has a new one. Where he said, I think we find out that he got it wet. So he wasn't able to use the radio anymore. So we got a new one. And then we flash to the kids in the car on their way to Eddie with junk food and things like that, because he had made that request to get food in the last episode, and they have not gone and seen him yet. So they've acquired some things, and they're now on their way to go see him, only to pull up in the car as there is a crowd of people outside of Reefer Rick's, and we get this very interesting snapshot scene where we're seeing the kids watching this live, and all these other families that we are in touch with throughout Hawkins watching this on their television, where we have the lead, the chief of police, not Hopper, but the new chief of police, who was one of Hopper's boys. He is now giving this report on the fact that Patrick has died. It's another senior at the high school. And then they put a picture of Eddie up on the news saying, we're looking for information about Eddie Munson. And that is a devastating moment for Eddie.
This is horrible.
Because now people,
hard evidence.
Nobody knew, nobody had anything before.
No.
Well, they don't have anything except for the fact that now the first one was at his place, right? The first one of these deaths that they found was at his residence. The second one is not far from his residence. And the third one, there is an eyewitness saying that he was present when this happened. You have to have some suspicion if you are a police officer that he's involved.
But to name his name like on the news this way, even though there's actually no evidence that he's done anything, is wild. I mean, this is like crazy.
But they're also, I think they're just scrambling to try and find a way. But listen, they can't have more kids at the high school just dying. So they're desperate. So they need to find him and bring him in for questioning is the whole idea. But this gets worse for the kids as we go. Yeah. But we do catch Eddie on the radio to Dustin while they're all standing right there in front of the police.
I know.
And I'm thinking, holy smokes, get out of there. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But he lets them know that they're hiding at Skull Rock. And so the gang is off to Skull Rock.
Yes. And they're in the woods.
I do like... They're now hiking through the woods on their way to Skull Rock. I do like this little scene here with Lucas, where Lucas is putting everything together. He's realizing that Patrick had come to practice once with a black eye, and everybody just kind of like shook it off as a thing. And what happened with Chrissy and what happened with Fred. And he's like, I didn't know any of these people all that well, but I could have done, I knew you, Matt. Like, I know you. I could have listened. I could have been there. I didn't look hard enough. And she's saying, like, no, I pulled away. And he's like, no, I should have been there. Yeah. And he is adamant that it's not his fault, but he feels partially at fault for not being an outlet for her to relieve some of this on. Otherwise, Vecna wouldn't be chasing her.
Lucas is by far the most emotionally mature boy in this group. Like, my goodness, like he is like the most in tune with what's going on. It's really
by a million miles. Like Dustin also has his role. Emotional maturity is higher on the list. Mike, no. Will, not really. Yeah. But Dustin and Lucas have their roles. Moments, and they have great moments of success for all of these purposes. And Dustin, as we are about to see, brings his science to the table once again because despite all this, we have this nice scene, and then it is immediately followed up with a scene with Nancy and Robin, who are walking, and Robin is hearing the conversation behind, and she's like, listen, if all this goes down, just to put a pair of, I forget her phrasing, but I'm going to say star-crossed lovers back together, then maybe there was some good that came from this whole thing.
Yeah, it was really nice.
And Nancy thinks that she's talking about her, which is funny because she thinks she's talking about Nancy and Steve, but she's not. She's talking about Lucas and Max. So Nancy gets all defensive about it right away, and it's this whole thing with Nancy and Jonathan, and then she comes out and tells all this information about why she feels Jonathan is pulling away, and essentially you know,
because she
Robin
expected
says,
her to be, she was talking about, she expected him to be there for the break, even though she kind of didn't want him to be there, but didn't really know how to tell him. And they're just,
but she
their
also like
has been horrible.
I think Jonathan also was expecting her to make the plane trip with Mike, and she didn't.
She didn't. Yeah. So they're both just letting each other down, but not really talking about it. I mean, it makes sense for this age for them to just be struggling with this, trying to maintain a long distance relationship as a teenager. Yeah, no. So
it's not easy.
I just love this cute moment though between Robin and Nancy, where they're kind of like, we're officially friends now, and it was
like,
sweet.
Does that make us friends?
Yes.
Like, it's actually stated outright. Does that make us friends? And they're like, yeah, I guess so. So then there's like this acceptance of them now becoming friends with each other, because earlier in the season, Nancy was very at arm's length with Robin.
Nancy really doesn't have that many friends. Like, as we kind of talked about from season 1, I know we had some heavy debates about this, Eric, but Barb really was one of Nancy's only friends. And so Nancy was really more in the nerd group herself.
Early on, it wasn't so evident that was the case.
No, they tried to
It was almost implied that Barb was the nerd friend hanging on with Nancy. Now, Nancy was clearly in the academic group, right? Mm-hmm. She was in these are the smart kids that are working really hard and doing all the right things, because Steve's friends hated her.
We're the bad kids, yeah.
Yes. And
what
I think we're uncovering as seasons have gone on is that Nancy is just hard to get along with.
Yeah. She just has a lot of walls up.
She has a lot of walls up, and she also wants things her way, and that is it. There is no other alternative, which makes it very difficult for people to fall into her graces. But Jonathan likes her, Robin likes her, Steve likes her. So she has friends, but she also keeps them all at distance.
Yes, yeah. She has her defenses up. She definitely strikes me as, like, she's been through something that hurt her, and now she really doesn't let a lot of people in. So I like that moment between her and Robin, because you could tell they really were making a connection there. And it was just making me think back to, at a certain age, I feel like girls tended to, and I don't know, maybe girls don't do this as much anymore, but it's like you define that. You have that moment where you're like, we're best friends, or we're friends, or like you actually have that like exchange and communication where you make that known. And so it was just kind of, it was very retro, I felt like, in that way. I don't have a teenager, so I don't know if that's something that the kids still do, but
I have no idea. I have one.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're fine.
Hey,
do you like speak out that you're friends with them? I don't think, like, as far as guys are concerned, like, they have one thing in common: they're best friends.
Yeah, I don't think guys do that, but it's
But what we have in this next scene is Dustin following his compass, trying to be like, no, it's this way, and Steve just using his eyes, saying like, no, I know where we are. Well, it's over here.
Steve knew his experience too, because this was makeout. This was a makeout spot. So Steve is telling Dustin, you can use that compass all you want. I know where it is.
But this is a great opportunity to showcase that, for lack of better terms, Steve has street smarts and Dustin has academic smarts. And so Dustin
had experience just getting there.
Well, but
I don't know
Dustin is using the tools that he has to find the location that he needs to. And Steve is just looking around going, no, it's over here. I know it. And Dustin doesn't believe him because all of his academic tools are misleading him. And so I really like this kind of discussion point.
Yes.
Where and we find out why, but like there's a reason that Dustin's tools are misleading him that we will get to, but they do follow Steve because he's that adamant about it, and there it is. Like 4 seconds away, they get to Skull Rock, and Eddie is there. And so now Eddie is connected to the whole group again.
I love how he gives Dustin a big hug and he's kind of skeptically looking at Steve. He's probably like, what's Harrington doing here? Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if Steve was just upset that Dustin hugged Eddie more than he would hug him. You know, like, I feel like there's something there, right? I think there is this little opportunity for Eddie and Steve to not like each other as much because of who Dustin shows more affection for.
Well, they do kind of continue that conversation into next season, too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, but then we're back at this town hall meeting where the police are trying to reassure the public, and they're saying that they're going to find Eddie. Meanwhile, Jason is busting in saying, no, you won't. And he's saying that the cops are just making excuses, and he is really just trying to rally the public at this point. And he is getting up in the front, grabbing the mic, saying how he saw things that he can't explain. And the police don't want to believe it, but he knows what he saw. He was there. And the truth is that they are ritualistic sacrifices, and Eddie is a cult leader. And this is the truth behind what happened at the mall fire and all those unexplained deaths that have been around town. And he specifically calls out the Hellfire Club. And that's where I love that Erica stood up at this point and she's saying, it's all bullshit. And
she's like, this is a club for nerds. Like, they're just playing games. Nope.
But her dad kind of sits her back down. And all the parents of the Hellfire Club kids, all these parents are looking around at each other, the Wheelers,
Dustin's mom, like Lucas's mom, Nancy,
like, no way.
Not Nancy, sorry, Karen Wheeler. They're all kind of like coming together like, oh my God. And they know what it is. They know it's not that, but they also now know this is a town full of people that want answers, and there are no answers, and they have not been explained, and they feel the police are not doing their jobs. And here comes this kid with all kinds of information that the cops are trying to hide from you. And they
Jason is a born politician.
He really is. I mean, let me tell you what, I thought the exact same thing. Jason stood up there in front of the crowd, just like he did at the pep rally.
Yes.
And he owned it, and they all bought in right out of the gate. This one guy just starts walking out, and you're thinking, is he not believing them? What's he doing? And he's like, well, you heard the kid. Let's go.
He and it's like rally written all over him. Yeah.
This is as I said earlier, this is Gaston with the pitchforks, like leading their way to the beast. Like, how are we going to just fix this?
People sometimes want answers so badly that the thing that you can tell the most complete story around, well, we're just going to buy into it, right? Like, that sounds like a story I could buy into. Well, let's go with that because the cops are giving us nothing else, right? That's the only story that we have. And that's what happens in real life all the time, too. It's like, hey, jury of your peers, we have this story that we're going to tell about what happened. It might not be what even actually went down at that crime scene, but that's the best picture that we can paint for you, so they're going to buy it. You know, this happens all the time.
And the cops they're on this, like, okay, they are on it, but they are also trying to be realistic with it.
Yeah.
This is their case. They've got it. They know the guy that they're looking for. And if they find Eddie, that would be a whole lot better than the townspeople finding Eddie.
No kidding.
Because they're actually going to get his side of the story. Now, are they going to believe his side of the story? That's another thing.
They're trying to solve a supernatural crime with the tools in their tool belt, and that's not going to work.
But if one of these, just normal townspeople find him first, they're just going to kill him. Just going to kill him. And that'll be that.
Yeah, the cops try to reel in the people at this point. I'm like, guys, you're too late to the party here. Now, you waited too long. You really should not have let Jason just grab the microphone like that and take over, but they did, and now everyone is marching out of that town hall.
It's awfully difficult to silence him because anything they do, if they like cut his mic off or took the mic away from him, all that does is make it look like they are covering something up.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Maybe.
All that does is give more credence to Jason's story.
Yeah, there's no easy way if you're on that conspiracy theory track or there's just some story told, there's no way to really work around that, because that's a great point. I mean, we see that play out right now all the time where you cannot convince someone differently. If they are believing a certain story that's been told, well, there's a lot of quote unquote evidence online, or something.
That's the thing. Like, I understand this a lot. I mean, I get it. I totally get it from both sides. I just feel like people buy in to what they want to hear, and they hear the information that comes from that side or the other side, and they immediately lock into their side, and that's that.
Yeah.
And this is what we're seeing here. We're seeing this is the two sides. We've got police and we've got Jason. People are already mad at the police before Jason starts. And then when he gives this impassioned speech about Hellfire Club and passes out flyers with all the kids' pictures on it, oh man.
Well, and it's because everyone is afraid, right? When you add
they're
fear,
afraid. Absolutely.
You see the bodies of these kids. I mean, no one's ever seen anything like this. They're all mangled, all their bones are snapped. I mean, you'll believe just about any crazy story about Satan that someone's going to tell you at that point, right?
They're going to believe all the stories except the one that's real, which is too far-fetched. But
yeah, but
we move on.
And we see all the parents then of the Hellfire Club gathering at the Wheeler's house. And Eric, oh my gosh. Listen, I know that in our last episode, we said it's not even really worth picking on Ted half the time because he's just constantly lets us down. But Ted, my God, in this scene, it's like he is not listening to anything that Karen, he's such a waste of space. Like, Karen even says something like she's gonna make a phone call, and he just mutters about how she never listens to him and that she doesn't really go along. Like, Ted, like,
she said something. I forget what her line was, but he followed it up with like, "Listen, we can't rule anything out."
He said anything is possible at this point,
and she's like, "Our kids are not murderers," and he's like, "That's not what I said." To be fair, it's not what he said, but the implication was in that.
Yes.
So
God. But then Karen deciding to call the cops. I'm not really sure. This is kind of where that scene cuts off, so we don't really know
that she does call the police, and that is where it ends. But like, if you're Karen, the cops are the best call.
Absolutely.
Because like I said earlier, if the cops find Eddie, that is so much better than these townspeople. Like, if they roll up and find Dustin and go, "Hey, that's the kid from this picture," he's done for.
And it might have been maybe what Karen. Oh no, that later on we do see what tipped them off as to how they found the kids. Because I was just thinking, did she give them some information on where to locate the car? But maybe that other cop did pinpoint where the station wagon was. So maybe she knew that was kind of a spot that they might hang out by the rock, and maybe she gave a tip. I'm not sure, but we'll get there.
For what?
We'll get there in a second. It's where the cops found the car.
Oh, maybe.
So maybe she is the implication that she gave them the information, like, hey, they sometimes hung out there. Okay.
No, well, maybe.
To try to find them faster. Just a thought.
So how did they find the car there?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
or he could have just been patrolling. We don't know.
At the same time, there's so many people out on the search. You don't know.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, they're at Skull Rock. The
Yes.
gang is sitting there at Skull Rock, and they're all talking. And Dustin is just pacing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And everyone kind of looks at him like, what is he doing? And he figures out that the compass is wrong. And we get this like cool little flashback to season 1. They don't show it, but it's just the moment is like a callback to season 1 where, well, what happens when the compass is wrong? Why is the compass wrong?
Yes.
And Lucas is like, there's another gate. Like the gate pulled the compasses. There's an electromagnetic field here. There must be another gate. This is what we have to do. And so they come up with this concept to figure out where this gate is. And Dustin's saying it has to be smaller because of the way the compasses are acting.
Yeah, the electromagnetic field was pulling the compass, making it go crazy. Yeah. It wasn't that there was ever anything wrong with it. And but also before that, we have where they confirm the timing of it all, that Patrick was attacked by Vecna at the same time, right? As everything happened in front of Eddie because his watch stopped.
His watch got in the water.
Exactly.
Well, his watch got in the water, so it stopped.
So Patrick was attacked at the same time that when the kids were up in the attic in the Creel house, and they saw the vision, or they saw their flashlights going crazy. That was all, happening at once.
But I do love this when they decide, okay, well, like Dustin starts pacing off to try and track this new gate area that he feels like might be a thing, because he said, listen, if there is a new gate, then we have an access point, and we can deal with Vecna from there.
They say it's a small gate, and Robin says snack size gate. I like that too.
But then then they're all like, are you serious? Like, is this what we're doing? And he turns to Eddie and he's like, what say you, Eddie the Banished?
Yes.
And Eddie looks around. He's like this is not his game, but he ultimately says, listen, the Shire is burning, so Mordor it is, which is a cool like Lord of the Rings reference. That's which right. I did go look up to see if it was an actual quote, but it is not. Yeah. It is just an Eddie quote.
Yes, you're asking me to follow you into Mordor. Yeah.
Yeah, the idea that, listen, Hawkins is on fire, so might as well go somewhere else. Like, let's get out of here. Yeah. And so this is, though, when they're on their trek to find this gate, and the police do roll up and find the car at Skull Rock. And this is radioed in to the chief, who then realizes they must be going back to the lake.
And the cops are
close to the lake.
Glasses cop is like freaking out too, because he's like, we have armed vigilantes on the loose, you know? And I mean, this is a real thing. It's like an armed public versus the cops. Yeah, they're going to feel pretty threatened at that point. So this is like, they've lost control of their community, right? Like now Jason has lit the fire under their butts, and they don't have control of over the situation. So they better find him first. Now it's a race to find him.
Like, it is literally a race to find all of these people. And so so they're on their way back to the lake. Yeah. And we then find
Dustin makes
Dustin
it to the
lake. Getting all the way down to the shore.
Eddie stops him compass. Just before he like walks right into the lake.
Starts walking into the water.
Yeah. And they find this boat.
And so they have to break into two parties. Because they've got one boat that's there, and the boat can only hold 3 people. Well, says Steve. But then Steve gets in the boat anyway. Yes. And Dustin's like, I thought it could only hold 3. He's like, sorry.
They do not want. And I thought it was actually a really cute, almost like Big Brother moment where Eddie is like, no, Dustin, you stay on the shore. Because it was like, he knew that something is probably going to go down out here. And they could probably also use Dustin's assistance with his special skills, like of just like figuring stuff out, you know, figuring out the puzzle, like from a safe distance.
Nah, I don't think so. I think this was, again, as we have seen a number of times, we get this break. And it's like, okay, older kids, this is your job. Just like when we see the adults go, okay, kids, sit on the sideline. We've got this. when it comes down to this sort of group, hey, littler kids, you guys sit on the sideline. The older kids have it. That is
what happened,
and it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, why? Why is this the case?
It was just Dustin, Max, and Lucas on the shore. Yeah.
It takes all of you to work this out, but
I mean, they all
that
wouldn't
is how
have
the
fit
divide
in the boat.
goes.
That is true. I mean, I don't think that would have worked so well.
No, but I at the same time am thinking to myself, of all the people, I feel like I would want Max getting involved here. It's her life on the line. Like, why would she be left on the sidelines here?
Yeah, that piece actually did not get mentioned at all this episode. I kind of had a little note about that too, where it's like, oh, we didn't really talk about Max's other than that brief conversation with Lucas, but he didn't really touch on it too much. So we didn't get any of like Max's visions of the clock or anything like that this episode.
Well, but I don't think we needed that because we've seen that for the last few episodes. So now let's progress the other characters.
Yeah.
And we know what Max is dealing with.
But like, is that happening still all the time for her? Like, I guess that's what I'm kind of questioning a little bit.
I would only imagine it happens if we see it happens.
Yeah.
I don't think it would happen with us just not knowing about it.
Yeah. But on the rowboat.
But they take the boat all the way out. And I do love, as they're discussing what do we do here, Steve's like, well, I was co-captain of the swim team at Hawkins, so if any of you could beat that, otherwise I'm going in. And it's funny because he takes his shirt off and Lucas has got the binoculars, I think. And he's like, when did Steve get so hairy?
Oh my God.
And Dustin's like, I don't know. He claims the ladies dig it. And so Max is like, hold on. And she looks at the binoculars and then is like, laser focused.
Oh,
does not give him up at all. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we even doing here?
Yes.
And
so
Dustin's eye rolling.
I found a piece of trivia on IMDb that mentioned this, where Steve, when he calls out that he was a co-captain of the high school swim team and a certified lifeguard for 3 years, this was the first time that Steve's original backstory is mentioned on the show. Outside of interviews that Joe Keery has taken, I guess Steve was supposed to be a swimmer instead of a basketball player in season 1. And he even like trained and dieted to have like a swimmer's body for the show. And then they're like, you know what? You're just going to be a basketball player. So he kind of, but they made mention of this like alternative reality, I guess, like for that character, which was interesting.
Well, to me, like the funny thing about the lifeguard is you could have had him out working at the lifeguard.
Oh, right. Like, with pool. Billy.
Like you should have had him there with Billy. Yeah. Like that would have made more sense. Mm-hmm. But you know, these things change. Yeah. So anyway, now the cops have gotten to the edge of the lake. And they have found, they're searching through the woods. And Max, like, yells out to the cops or something. I'm not exactly sure what transpired here. Well, but it was like she was trying to mislead them away from the boat.
So before that, Eric, I guess I just have to say, as Steve is jumping into the water, I'm thinking, what's the plan here? Like,
I'm sorry, I did jump a note ahead.
Like what, Steve, what is the plan? Like, so you're gonna go into the water because you think that's where like the monster is, and like, and what? You have no weapons. There's nothing. You're just jumping in the water, and I
think they're trying to find the gate. They realize the gate is there.
I love the
Dustin
ambition.
does make a nice joke about it potentially being a water gate.
Oh my God. And I also love the moment where Nancy like looks over at Steve and she's like, be careful. And like gives this super flirtatious look. I'm like, what Nancy. Oh my God. It was so funny to me.
What are we doing here? And the teen romance is showing up every now and then.
It was really funny. But then, and Eddie does wrap the flashlight in a plastic bag for him. So he does have that with him. And so he jumps down to look for water.
But he's swimming around. He finds a glowing light. And
touches it.
As he makes his way over there, he gets over, he touches what he thinks is the gate, and he realizes, that's what this is. This is gate. Goes back to the surface to let everybody know. But while that is happening, the cops are in the woods, as I said. I did skip over that. And you see the flashlights, and Max like yells out at the cops at some point to say something that I thought was saying, okay, we're going to yell and run this way says, so that they don't see the boat.
Officers, we found the killer this way. And yeah. I think it's to distract them.
Is she doing?
At that point, I feel like she thinks our best goal, our best bet here is to just get them to, grab us, but distract them for what's happening actually on the lake. And so...
Yes. So as Steve arrives to the surface, we then have a tentacle grab him by the ankles and rip him down. At which point, we flash back, and the cops catch Dustin.
Yeah.
And they stop Dustin right there. And, of course, Dustin matches the description as the Hellfire Club member. And that's where we end with them. Meanwhile, Nancy dives in after Steve.
Yes.
And...
then Robin.
And then Robin. And then Eddie's all by himself on the boat going, oh my God, what? And he just dives in too.
I love Robin's
but they're all just tracking
Robin
Steve.
like holds her nose and goes in backwards. I'm like, oh my God, girl, that's going to take a lot to know. Like turn around, swim down.
Man,
I'm like, this is...
Yeah, it's going to take you a minute. Eddie's going to beat you there.
I know. But yeah, and then Eddie's like super chaotic jump into the water. Like they all had their very characteristic ways of getting into the water. He's just like, fine. We're all going. Like, what is he going to do? Just sit on the boat alone? You know? So.
No, not a chance. So, but then we see Steve get yanked through into the upside down.
Yeah, and there's all these like crow-like birds flying down toward him and attacking him. And this is where, like we mentioned earlier,
crow-like?
Yeah, they were like crows with like tentacles. I don't know.
I was gonna say these don't look like crows. Look like normal birds. These are
crow-like. Crow adjacent.
I don't know. I would say they look like stingrays, you know, like they are like fleshy.
Well, yeah.
They don't have feathers.
Well, apparently these winged, blood-sucking creatures that attack Steve at the end of the episode resemble a classic Dungeons and Dragons monster called the Sturge. And yes.
I used to play a video game called Borderlands, and they look like this monster called a rack, which is the same idea. Yep. It's this. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Demonic winged creature. Yeah. I mean, I guess, more like bats than crows.
Yes.
Maybe that would be a better.
Crows have feathers.
Okay. They were giant and demonic. I don't know.
Yes. I like that better.
Ravens? Yes.
Crow? No, not ravens. No feathers. You have to come up with a flying, non-feather creature. Bat. I like bat.
I mean, again, though, this just continues the tradition of poor Steve getting attacked by demonic creatures or just getting beat up in general, because they have now one of the tentacles around his neck, choking him. The others are just biting all over his body, and they're holding him down like he cannot move. And that's where the episode ends.
And for what it's worth, I was typing in my final notes, and the next episode picks right back up on my Netflix. I had to stop it, so I didn't go too far. But it picks up immediately on that spot where Steve is being attacked by these demon birds.
And the setting here, I mean, there's sort of red lightning happening in the background. It looks like he's in
and you got the particles falling.
And were there particles falling?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I did not pick up on that. I'm glad that you know. I did not pick up on the particles. It reminded me a bit more of like where we saw Max in Vecna's space there, like where she wasn't supposed to be, but you didn't see the house. Like it was just sort of this wide open plain with not a lot around.
Well, to me, remember, whenever they enter into the upside down, they're like in the exact same spot.
Right.
So this wide
without
open plain is the lake with no water.
Right.
Because you can see Reefer Rick's house, like cabin, on the shoreline.
Right.
Which is far away. Mm-hmm. So it's there. Like this is now back to Hawkins upside down. Just There's no lake, so there's no water there. Right. So it's just right on the surface of this plane. Well, now we're going to jump into our IMDb segment of this podcast where we are talking about our ratings and your ratings as we find them on IMDb, not to mention our favorite and least favorite characters of this episode. This is a very interesting one, I think. I don't know about you. I had a hard time with all of it. I wasn't exactly sure what my rating would be. I wasn't exactly sure who my favorite and least favorite characters are. I think I'm going to stick with who I've got, and I'm going to stick with my rating. But it was a little bit difficult to pick.
Yeah, I struggled with it a bit as well, and I felt like for that reason, because I could have picked a number of characters as my favorite, I almost went with Dustin. He's kind of my runner-up because I really appreciated that he understood what happened with the compass. And he figured it out. He's like, oh, boom, that's what it is. And pointed to the direction. He's like, this is trying to tell us that there's more, there's another electromagnetic field that is in our vicinity. And that's what's messing it up. But I ended up going with Hopper.
Okay. He was also on a short list for me too.
Yeah, I hadn't gone with Hopper in a while, and I really, really liked what he did in this episode. He had a great, him telling that story to the rest of the prisoners that were eating that feast was great. He saw through what the guards were doing, and he also hadn't lost hope, because in the last episode, he seemed pretty hopeless. It seemed like he was just gonna give in to whatever he now saw his destiny to be. But he stole the lighter. He, has this plan to face the Demogorgon with whatever he can, right? Like, he is going to still give it his all. So I love that from Hopper. I like that we saw the light in his eyes a little bit. And yeah, that's who I went with. How about you, Eric?
Hopper was really on a short list for me. I'll say this. I feel like all the characters did well. I don't know that anyone jumped way out. But also nobody was poor either.
Right.
So I had a hard time with favorite and least favorite. Usually one of them jumps out at me. Hopper was on a very short list. Dustin, as you mentioned, he was on the short list. I say Lucas for me was also on a short list. It was just his one conversation that he had, but I felt that was very meaningful. I also had Suzie and Murray kind of floating around as options.
Oh, yeah. Suzie would be a good pick. Yep.
I'm going to ultimately go and say that Eddie was my favorite.
Eddie was a good one. Yep.
The reason why I'm picking Eddie is, Eddie was my least favorite in the last episode too, which is kind of funny. But Eddie was my favorite in this one because I feel like we got to see him connect with Dustin. We got to see him interact with Steve. How he was treating the boat was different. We saw him do a few more positive things throughout. And I love his quote reference to the Lord of the Rings.
Me too.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that. And that's kind of his moment to say, like, hey, listen, you guys all aren't sure what direction to go. Let's go for it. I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Props to you.
Yeah.
So I agree with Hopper. I think there were a number of others, like I just said, who I thought could have been there. But I'm going to go with Eddie. And so I'll roll this into least favorite, which again, I feel like I'm going to take flack for this one. and there's no reason for this person to be least favorite other than I don't have anybody else that I disliked. I have nobody that I disliked in this episode. I feel like everybody did what they should do. Will, Mike, and Jonathan, they brought about as much to the table as I would have expect them to do.
Yep.
Nancy, Robin, their whole thing was fine. Steve did his thing. He's fine. Everybody else was fine.
Oh God.
But I'm gonna end up picking Steve.
Oh, wow, Steve.
I know.
Steve jumped in first.
And I know he jumped in first, right? And that is great. That's great. But I'm picking Steve because I didn't love his interactions with Dustin throughout this episode. Where when Dustin is calculating and figuring out the compass is right, Steve is cracking on him for just wanting to be right. And that's not what Dustin was trying to say. And then when they get to the boat, Steve's like, yeah, you can stay, but I'm going anyway.
Yeah.
And there were just little things.
I think
Those are
Steve
such
is
small, petty reasons.
I think Steve is trying to always remind Dustin that it's like, I'm the older kid, like I'm the big brother type thing, you know what I mean? And you stay in your place because I know where the spot is. Like, you listen to me now, kid. Because he kind of,
and Dustin,
in the last episode, Dustin was sort of razzing on Steve a lot. So I feel like he's trying to take it back.
Well, he is, because Steve was right. Steve knew where the rock was, and if Dustin would listen to him, but then Steve wasn't hearing that Dustin was trying to explain why he was wrong. And it's not that he was wrong, it's the compass was wrong, but the compass is wrong because of this. And Steve wasn't hearing it. He just wanted it to be a competition. I don't have anybody that I dislike. I know. And I want to be very clear that I liked what Steve did in this episode, but I don't have anybody else that I disliked.
Honestly.
So how about you?
No,
I'm interested to hear.
This was a tough one. Listen, I could go the obvious route and say Jason, because I just don't like him. And he is just, I don't like what he's doing in this episode, rallying all the townspeople, going on this this hunt for Eddie that he doesn't know did anything. But to your point, I get that, like, that's his best guess. But
I think Jason is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know I could have given Jason my least favorite. In fact, I'm looking back. I haven't given it to him once. Yeah. And I think that's because I just keep thinking, but Jason is doing the stuff that he thinks he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah. But
and so I understand his character.
Yeah. I just still, his whole.
Like, I didn't like Angela.
Oh, yeah.
Angela's stupid.
Yeah.
Jason, equally dumb, but from what he sees and his perspective, I get it.
Yeah, that's his perspective. It's just and
it's
also
he's wrong.
The cops. I also could have picked like the police chief, because I'm like, dude, like get it together, like figure this out, like get ahead of it, like reel in this guy. I mean, but I get it. That would be hard to do. Easier said than done. But it's outside of the obvious choices. I ended up going, actually, which maybe is also not a favorable direction to go for least favorite character, but I picked Robin because there was just, first of all, she wasn't really friends. I know the friendship thing, great, but she really wasn't in this episode too much. Like, there weren't too many like key moments with her outside of the friendship conversation with Nancy. But prior to that, I think we kind of maybe glossed over this a little bit, but like when we first saw the group and they were Nancy was driving them all in the car, Robin was having like this meltdown moment, which was a great moment for the actress, just like speed talking her way through this bit about how they had to like tell Eddie the full story and they're gonna scare him, and she was kind of spiraling mentally out of control, and the rest of the kids are like, let's not do that. Like, that sounds...
How about we just get him some food?
Yeah, how about... So I just felt like, Robin was kind of losing it a little bit, and things might have just started to spiral even more if the other kids hadn't reeled her in. So honestly, that's... Other than picking, Jason, I ended up going with Robin, who's more part of like the core group, just for that reason. And honestly, I don't think I really ever picked Robin as my least favorite. So I felt like, as far as Robin episodes go, this was This was just a weaker one.
This is your first Robin selection as least favorite. So there's that. I feel like having not picked Jason once this season is a mistake.
Yeah, that might have been a mistake.
But like that might be a mistake that I'm gonna look back on and want to change. But you know what? But like the thing
we kind of try to pick, I feel like, from the core group, but maybe that's also
I try to. Well, here's the thing. I look back at like all of my selections, and I have more time. Like if I look at, because I've got this table going now. If I look at Mike, Dustin, Lucas, Will, 11, Max, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, Robin, Joyce, Hopper, Karen, Erica, and Murray. I take all those characters. I've still picked other characters as my least favorite 8 times. And you have done it 11 times. And I'm like, you know what? That's probably unfair to these characters because they're supposed to be the ones that are like...
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, that's
like we're supposed to root for the heroes and go against the
Hey, it's not like I'm picking Vecna, okay?
No, it is not. Like I haven't done that. But I will say I still once this season picked Angela because she is awful.
Oh,
Jason,
I mean, my God.
To me is different than that. Yeah. You know what I mean? This feels a little different. I feel like if I wanted to pick Jason, it would have been in an earlier episode. It's probably too late for him at this point, but we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out.
That's for sure. So,
well, we'll find out how it goes. As for ratings, like I said, had a little bit of a difficult time with this, but I have settled on the rating of 8.5. And I have 8.5 because I like this a little bit more than the Nina Project, which was last week's episode.
Okay.
But not a lot more. You know, I think they're probably similar, but I feel like this progressed that story a little bit more. So I'm just going to stay solid in the middle, 8.5, and we'll see what happens from there. How about you?
For me, I liked this episode, but I felt like actually for me the Nina Project added more. Like
you had a high rating on that. You had an 8.8 on that
one. I loved the bringing Papa back into the mix. I loved seeing 11 get her powers back. Like you started to see her, get her power, although it was short lived, but we saw it and that was great. I loved, Mike being on the figuring out the puzzle and how to find Suzie or how to define the number so that they'll bring it to Suzie.
Yeah.
The beginning of that episode was wild with the security guy like dying in the van, and I don't know. We don't have to talk about everything with the last episode as much, but all that to say is this was a good episode. Didn't like it quite as much. I gave this one an 8.3. And that's probably, I think, so far I guess I did give the monster and the superhero a 7.9. So it's my second lowest rating of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's good reason for that. One is universally on the low end when I look at all of our ratings so far between us, both you and me, and the IMDb grouping. That one is very low in the whole grand scheme of things. That being said, this episode is also an 8.5 by the IMDb people.
Yep.
So that gives me an 8.5, you an 8.3, and IMDb has this as an 8.5 as well, which also they're starting to come up with a little bit with this. I came up a little tiny bit, and you came down, but you came down pretty close to where we are. And I think when I look at them going across the board, this is also probably on the lower end from all of us as a overall.
You know what, Eric?
Because
I have to make an adjustment. I have to amend something. After, you know what, we've been talking about it And I clearly have voiced my opinion about who I really didn't like on this episode, but I don't know why I didn't go with him. I'm replacing Robin with Jason. Robin, you do not deserve to be my least favorite character. Jason, I don't like you. I said it.
You know what? Listen. As someone who picked Steve as their least favorite character from this episode, I understand that. I'm not going to pick Jason.
Someone had
because
to.
in all honesty, Jason's moment at the community hall, which is the reason why you would say he's the worst, is also a great moment for Jason.
Oh, it's a great moment for that actor, but my God, I'm like, Jason, yeah. You were there, like you saw what happened, and you're like going into this crazy delusion about Satan. Oh my God, it's wild.
Yeah.
Like
well, that's fair. Listen, now he's been represented at least once this season by one of us.
We had to do
good.
that. That's right. Just couldn't sleep at
now. It's funny because like I was just saying, you do have Angela, Jason, and Yuri as least favorite characters at some juncture during this time.
I'll stand by that.
But yet you have not picked any of the side characters as favorites.
No.
If you want to consider Eddie a side character, I guess he's not on my list. He would technically represent in that. And I've picked Eddie and Angela as least and Eddie as a favorite as well. So we have that going.
Yeah.
Anywho, I think it's time we probably wrap this thing up. What do you say?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check out our socials, our Instagram, and our YouTube. Subscribe, follow, share, give ratings. We really appreciate all of the support that we're finding there. We also enjoy the comments that we're starting to receive and the ratings that we're getting on our podcast. So please give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave comments. We will respond. We will see you. Also, check out our website, werunonreruns.com. For Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching episode 7 of season 4, The Massacre at Hawkins Lab, for next week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.